Hey, this is Jay.
And this is Chelsea.
Welcome to the Shifting Perceptions podcast.
We are bringing you inspiration to live a more creative lifestyle because our favorite people are the ones that choose the path less traveled.
What's up, everyone? It's Jay Alders. Got a good episode for you today. It's the 57th episode of Shifting Perceptions podcast. Today I have a hip-hop artist and entrepreneur out of Philly, Dylan Rhodes. He's known as Dill. He's doing a lot of great stuff. He's a young guy. He's 26 years old. He put out the first ever crypto rap album, which we will get into in this episode. He's also got 2 million Spotify streams. He has about 1 million monthly listeners and 200 plus million streams worldwide. He does shows all over the place, and he is a Billboard ranking artist. His song peaked at number 25 on Billboard. Dill is breaking ground in a lot of areas of music and is really heavily into the NFT space. So if you're a musician especially, you really want to check this episode out. But if you're an artist or anyone that's creative, I think you can get a lot out of this episode. Kind of model yourself after what Dylan is doing. And I think it's just a really cool story. So let's get into it with Dill. So, dude, you're a Philly guy. Let's start there, man. I'm a Jersey guy. You're a Philly guy. Talk to me about, growing up in Philly. I want to, introduce everyone that's listening, which are largely artists, musicians, entrepreneurs. That's, the bulk of people that listen, people that are, just hobbyists as well as, professionals. But I want to, introduce everyone to you. Tell me where your music interest came from, whether it was childhood or whatever. Give me a little elevator pitch and a little introduction for everyone.
Yeah, man, I've always been into music. I've always been an entrepreneur. I used to make videos on YouTube. I used to do the choir and stuff. And I was always into music and singing. And I would always mess around with my friends. In high school, me and my buddy Wes Walker, who I made the Jordan Belfort song with, we actually had a DJ company where we would do small events and birthday parties and school dances and stuff like that. So I've always been pretty interested in the music and business side. And that's sort of my background. And then when I was a freshman in college, which was when I first recorded the Jordan Belfort song, and I didn't have a lot of other music out there, but that is sort of where it all started with the Jordan Belfort song. So we kind of put it out for fun, not thinking much would come up of it. And it blew up on SoundCloud. It was one of the first songs to blow up organically online through SoundCloud like that.
Let's dive in a little deeper. So for people that don't know your music, well, first of all, let's give a shout out. So your website, itslit.org. People can kind of find all your links on there. So if you're in a spot where you're not driving, everyone, you want to pause this and check out his tunes, what he's doing. I definitely encourage you. So for people that are not familiar with the Jordan Belfort song, or if you're not familiar with your music, can you kind of describe? Rap is such a big genre right now. I love hip hop as well. I've been following it for decades, and there's so many branches of hip hop. Talk about your particular style and about that particular song that you dropped, and why that is kind of a mile marker in your career.
For sure. Well, just to sort of take a step back, my name is Dill. I'm an artist from Philly. I'm a 26-year-old independent artist and entrepreneur. I'm a platinum recording artist. Jordan Belfort was one of the top songs in 2016, the top college song. It made it onto Billboard, number 25 or something like that is where it peaked. And so the song has been really popular. I've toured around the country, done 50 to 100 shows. It kind of became a cult classic for colleges. And it was made after we saw the Wolf of Wall Street movie. So I saw that movie with the Jordan Belfort Wolf of Wall Street movie, loved the movie. And I kind of thought, all right, let me make a fun song about this, a party song. And that's where the idea for Jordan Belfort came from. So Wes showed me the beat one day and I was like, yo, let's rap about this movie I just saw. And everything really came from there. So the song blew up. It became really popular in colleges. We toured. We did a whole independent tour. And the song itself is just fun party music, definitely hip hop style. We're rapping. And I've brought that same vibe to all of my other music as well. So it's mostly fun party music, hip hop vibe, something that a lot of people will enjoy, but I also include different themes that are relevant to me. And that's how I got to rapping about crypto and released the first ever crypto rap album in 2019. So I've come a long way since that original Jordan Belfort song, and I've learned a lot about the music industry. A big part of my story is that I got really sold a dream by the record industry, I would say. And they got in early on my Jordan Belfort song. And I would say that it's an example of predatory deals in the music industry. So we've all heard that artists are not always taken care of the best by the major labels. And I would say the Jordan Belfort song is an example of that. And so this whole experience brought me down the road of being an independent artist, releasing and owning all my own music, and then ultimately coming to the NFT space and doing something independent and sort of getting on the wave that I am now.
So there's a lot I want to dig into before we get into the NFT stuff, which we definitely will, and I definitely am super interested to talk to you about that. One commonality I found, which is like it might be interesting to riff off of, tell me if it is, like you mentioned being like a DJ and being in like the event world. Kind of small world. That's kind of where I started as well. So I'm an artist, a visual artist, and for like way too long, I did caricatures at parties and I did airbrush T-shirts, and I eventually built up like an entertainment company and was hopping gig to gig, Philly, New York, Jersey, like all the surrounding areas, and like people that like yourself that have done that gig life, like doing those things, like you learn so much. I'm wondering for you, because I know I learned a lot of shit from doing that. Like you learn how to hustle. Learn how to socialize with like all kinds of crazy weird people, all kinds of awesome people, and you get to kind of be like a social chameleon, and you kind of like have a crazy work ethic, because it's like get there early, work your ass off, and then get the hell out of there and go on with the rest of your life. And it's like it's a really hit it hard, go kind of attitude, and I learned a lot from that, from being in that. And also another thing for me was like it grinds you down, like it really grinds you down when all your buddies are like, you know, going on with their lives and like taking off on the weekend, and you're like working your tail off, like going to gigs and stuff, and you're missing your buddies' weddings, or you're like missing big life events in your family, and like, you know, got a gig, I gotta go, you know. So I'm wondering like what that part of your life was like, how long it lasted, and how maybe that like fueled your fire to get the hell out of there. Like talk about that, because I'm personally curious.
Yeah, well, I think it comes and goes in different waves. And so when I first originally was doing that, like in high school, it was something that was more chill locally, one of my first businesses. So it never got to that level that you're saying where it was like extremely time consuming. Okay. But it was one of my first experiences of like making a website, doing some marketing, design, you know, making some thousands of dollars of revenue, you know, nothing crazy. But it was really also me and Wes learning how to be entertainers and performers. And I think it's no coincidence that ultimately me and Wes ended up making a song together and then touring. But I would say the actual touring for my music was a bit more relatable to what you said, where we were just on go, doing 2 or 3 shows a weekend. It was really draining. It was a lot of work, but we were making great money and having the best time ever. So it's a blessing when you get that experience of being able to tour and being able to make money doing something fun and perform. But it also is very exhausting, and you're constantly on the go. And I experienced just like being away from my friends in New Orleans, where I was in college for a long time. So it definitely was an experience of being on go, being exhausted, but it's where I learned everything, and I learned some valuable lessons, which is like, I didn't get enough footage. I didn't get enough documentation about everything we were doing. And so now I'm much more careful with all of that, and very conscious about how I build my brand and how I build my marketing materials, because I see now what a massive opportunity it was. Not that I didn't know at the time, but looking back, it's like, wow, there's so many ways I could have capitalized on this opportunity, but I was young and I was new in the music business, so still learning.
I love how you like say you're young in the past tense, like you're 26, bro, right? Like you're a young guy, man. On
For
that
sure.
topic, I'm like so curious. Like it's interesting, like we're both entrepreneurs. We probably have a lot of entrepreneur friends, right? Even at your young age, you probably have a lot of people that are kind of hustling, grinding, and it's like so interesting because people at your age bracket kind of get a bad rap, and I find that it's like there's like two extremes, right? Both from people I know as well as people that run businesses. It's like you got the one extreme of like people your age bracket that are like quitting their jobs, not wanting to work. No one can find anyone to work. And then you have the extreme other side, which I think you represent like so well, the complete opposite, like working your ass off, grinding, looking for every opportunity, networking like a madman. Like those are such polar opposites. I'm wondering if you have an opinion on what creates that division and like maybe what separates out like the people like you versus the people that are like, I'm just going to take off, get some paychecks from the government and just chill for a little bit. And we both know people like that, right? So like, what's your take on that?
Yeah.
Being in that age bracket, bro.
Well, I think being hardworking and motivated is a big piece of it. But in a lot of instances, you find that people are complacent because they haven't found something they're passionate about, or they find themselves in a situation that they feel like they can't get out of. But I think that almost, I really think that everyone has the capacity to be very focused and very hardworking when they find something they're passionate about, right? So a lot of people, it's a deeper issue, though. It's like maybe you feel like you're in a situation that you can't get out of, and so you're unable to maintain optimism and motivation, right? Because all these things are connected. But I think ultimately when you find your passion and you actually put time and energy into that passion, you begin to feel more motivated, even if it's a side hustle or something you do in your free time, right? But it takes a lot of mental energy and effort to get from zero to actually putting some time and energy into something you're passionate about. So a lot of people might be stuck at this kind of zero where they just feel like, all right, like I'm not going to do anything creative or something that I care about because I'm just working my job and that's never going to make me money, like whatever. It's tough to get optimistic, right? So I think as a society, though, there's increasingly more ways for you to do your own thing, for you to follow a path that actually motivates you and makes you feel passionate. But, you have to make turns and you have to reassess sometimes. I was working full time last year, right? Last year at this time, I had a full-time job with a great company called Vertalo. I really liked them. I was doing great stuff with them in the digital asset space, in the blockchain space. So still related to something I was passionate about. But the reason I'm not working there anymore is because NFTs took off. And I just realized that I wanted to pursue the path that I was more passionate about, not necessarily the more secure path. I had a great job. I was doing something I relatively enjoyed. But I told them from the beginning, that this music thing and this NFT stuff is really what's important to me. And that was a prerequisite when I was going to work there. It was like, look, I'll work here. I'll help you guys with marketing. Happy to be a part of it. But my music comes first because that's what I'm passionate about. So you have to set priorities for yourself. And I'm very clear with anyone that I work with, like, look, I'm happy to help and do consulting and stuff like that. But my focus is on my music. And also I love providing value for crypto projects. I love getting involved with the community. But at the end of the day, I have to make good music product to continue moving forward, the thing that I'm most invested in. I can work for a company, I can help, I can get a salary, I can own a small piece of that company, but I'm never going to be as passionate as doing something where I own 100% my music.
Just quick break, everyone. We'll get back in a second to the interview with Dill. So if you guys are listening to this, there's a good chance that you already might know about crypto art and NFTs. If you are one of those people, I would highly appreciate if you went and checked out some of my collections. If you go to jalders.com/links, it'll give you links to all the different NFT collections that I have. I have a couple of new ones. Got some really cool stuff going on. So again, jalders.com/links. That will also take you to the links to my online web store. If you have no interest or have no clue about NFTs and you just want to perhaps get a t-shirt, a poster, an art print, or some original art, if you go to jalders.com/links or just jalders.com, you will see my web store. I have a lot of cool stuff on there, and that is how I provide for my family. I have no other boring sponsors to tell you about at this time. So this is a fully self-funded passion project, this podcast. Any and all support is appreciated. At the very least, I'd love to connect with you on socials. Please check me out on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at jalders. And I really do appreciate you guys sharing. If you're not yet subscribed, if you're in your podcast player, just click subscribe. And if you aren't using Apple to listen, leaving a nice review really does help a lot if you can do that. So that's it for now. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Sending you lots of love. Hope you like the rest of the episode. Yeah, those are important things you touched upon, Dylan. It's like, a lot of people do find complacency because they either don't have their passion, or what I see often more is like people have a passion, but they have no idea how or what to do with that passion in order to make it like worth it for them. And it's weird because I've been an artist for like so long, and like never until the past year, let's say ish, 6 months or a year, now everyone's like kind of seeing opportunity. Now all of a sudden their passion is kind of enlightened and kind of like, they're on fire now. They're like, I want to do it. I want to do it. And it's like, I feel like people that are doing music or art or anything that they're passionate about, whatever it is, like it's important to not like kind of wait for the opportunities, but to create the opportunities. And I think that ultimately is kind of where hip hop came about. Like hip hop is a new art form. It's only been around for like, let's say since like the early 70s, mid 70s, let's say. So it's a really new art form. And I think that's based on like the hustle and the grind. Like, so before I want to jump in NFTs next, but first I'm really curious, like what got you into hip hop? What influences do you have? Like, any kind of background like that. I'd love to hear some stories of when it first like hit for you,
Yeah, I was always into like alternative rock and like Green Day and like all that good Charlotte, like old school stuff when I was a kid. And then as I was growing up, like middle school, high school, I started to get into rap. And I started to listen to like Meek Mill and Rick Ross, because being from Philly, Meek Mill was blowing up in the city. And I was also into Maybach music like Rick Ross. And that's kind of where I got my start. And I would say I didn't listen to like OGs and hip hop until later. Like, I got in with like Meek Mill and Rick Ross and Drake and then I started to like Young Thug and like I like the new wave of rappers with like Lil Uzi Vert and whoever. Like I like Mike Stud recently, who's cool. I mean, Lil Dicky is cool. He's from Philly, like all these people doing innovative stuff. I like that, right? But I now listen to all different types of hip hop. I'm not the most well-versed, but I definitely listen to more of like the pop, rap, hip hop stuff. I really like Drake, Young Thug, Kanye West. Like I listen to people that make popular music now. I also know, I try to keep up on my hip hop history, but I'm not the best with it. I'm still younger in the space. And so there's a lot of stuff that I missed, but I tapped in when I did. And I bring a lot of what I love in music to my own songwriting and my own music. And I think that at the end of the day, no matter what I do on the sales side, no matter what I make an album about, whether I'm rapping about crypto or I'm rapping about the Wolf of Wall Street movie, I'm always going to bring this style and my own influences to the piece. So I like to think I make music that is really great and has this kind of new pop style to it. It doesn't always sit well with people who like that kind of OG, like classical hip hop vibe, but I think it fits well with people who are kind of up to date with the more modern hip hop style. So that'd be my comments on my own style and influences.
Yeah, right on, man. So, you might have missed like the OG forms of rap, but you're definitely like in deep with the OG part of like crypto music. So like, I would love to jump into that now. Like, so you said you kind of were like doing a full-time job involved in blockchain. And I think for a lot of people listening, even the artists and musicians that are listening, which is a lot of our audience, like they still think that a lot of people still think NFTs is just like a $70 million JPEG. Or like, you're with that. What are you doing? And then the idea of like, and people are starting to wrap their minds around that a little bit, but then the idea of like music as NFTs is like, what? So how did you go from the full-time job in blockchain to thinking like I can apply this technology, this innovation to music and find a way to do it where it's working great for you? Like, so how does that happen?
Yeah.
How does that get in your head? Were you inspired by another project? Did you just see an opening and jump in and mess around and figure it out as you went along? Like, tell me about that, bro.
So for sure. So I was one of the original people to put together this concept, I would say. And just to give a full deal historical timeline, I've been a music artist for almost 10 years now. I got into crypto in 2016 after the Jordan Belfort tour and the song, like I was talking about. I was looking for something to invest in, and I found Ethereum and Bitcoin. And so I got in on this stuff, and I started a business in Philly called Advantage Blockchain. We started out as a consulting company. We're now a hedge fund. It's still around. It's a great company. I have a few business partners, and it's one of the top blockchain companies in Philadelphia. When you look up a Philadelphia blockchain, you'll see it. So Advantage Blockchain is my company where we've done crypto trading. We've worked with public and private companies. A lot of my collectors are people that I've met through Advantage Blockchain over the years. And so then in 2019, we got a client who was into real estate and digital assets on the blockchain. So real world assets represented on the blockchain. Mm-hmm. And that's where I got a full-time job in blockchain. So it actually came through my own company, where then I was hired out as basically a full-time consultant. So it wasn't like a typical job, I would call it. Like, it was something that actually came from me being an entrepreneur, and then an opportunity coming across my desk when the crypto market was struggling, right? Mm-hmm. Vertalo and Dave Hendricks, the CEO of Vertalo, really gave us a chance because he liked our business, and he saw that, the crypto market was struggling. We definitely needed work because Ethereum was at like $200 or something. This was like only a year and a half ago. And so we had a great opportunity where it's like, yeah, I had to take that job because crypto was getting shit on, like, seriously. And I had been making crypto music for a couple of years. So anyway, that kind of goes ahead. I wanted to take a step back to the original question. In 2018, 2019, I realized I'd been crushing it in crypto. I had this business. I was passionate about it. I was interested. But it wasn't the same as that passion I had for music, man. And I had completely kind of lost my focus in music. Like, I was totally focused on building Advantage Blockchain. We had a great opportunity in front of us, but I had lost that creative side. And I wanted to get in touch with that. Like, every time I would freestyle, I'd be like, yo, I'm nice at freestyling. Like, I need to get back to music. And so eventually 2018, 2019, I had this idea of combining my two interests together with the Crypto Rich album. So Crypto Rich was the first ever album story about crypto, right? I'm the first person to ever rap and tell a story about crypto. It's the first crypto music album. It's the top crypto album globally right now with over 2 million streams. It's currently the number 2 album in the music category on OpenSea. So I'm trading above The Weeknd. I'm trading above Plow. I'm trading above Calvin Harris. I'm trading above all the leaders in the space. There's platforms where all they do is release music NFTs for lots of different artists. My album's trading above them right now. And so it's becoming one of the top crypto music brands in the world. And I think that's because I've tapped into this idea of telling a crypto story, but also doing it with dope music that has mainstream potential. And that's why I'm starting to break through to the mainstream. And we've got 2 million streams now. And I think things are looking up in terms of like, this album could break through and go gold and go platinum and get hundreds of millions of streams. I think the concept of a crypto story in an album is probably bigger than the Wolf of Wall Street song. Like, that's kind of like a foot in the door to like a whole story about crypto. And that's what I saw. That's the opportunity I saw, right? I knew that I made the Wolf of Wall Street song, and I knew that was the perfect foot in the door to a whole crypto album. And so I wanted to tell that story and lay it out. And so it was really just you know what they say, that success comes from like good timing and being prepared for an opportunity. So it was the right timing, and I was prepared for an opportunity. I didn't even realize it was the first crypto album until earlier this year. Mm-hmm. I just put it out, and I was like trying my best to make it work. And then I realized after the fact, no one else had ever done a crypto album before this.
Dude, applause. Freaking cheering you on here, man. That's amazing.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
I love your grind. We first connected like on Twitter, and like just kind of being just kind of watching you do your thing was just super inspiring, which is one of the reasons I reached out. And I checked out your music, dig your music. So, I love the passion and the work ethic you have. I want to like kind of explain this out and kind of like break this down for people listening of all different categories. So the one category we have people listening or curious or like, okay, this guy seems dope. He's doing cool stuff. I'm interested in investing. explain to people in a way that a novice could understand what they're getting when they invest in you. Because it's already, for visual artists like myself, it's already like a conversation, obviously, like the whole right click and save thing. Like, what am I buying? If I get your NFT, I could just save it, right? The same thing obviously could be said about music. You can go on Spotify, and people should go on Spotify and check out your music for free. So explain to people that are listening what exactly they're getting, what they're buying into, what their asset is that they're holding, like utility, all that kind of stuff. Explain that for people.
Yeah. So you get ownership of digital real estate. So it's a tradable item that exists online. And so I think when someone says right click save, you say, okay, what if my work is up in a museum and you go there and you take a picture of it? What is the value of your picture? Right? It's obviously nothing. That's just a picture you took on your phone. So when you right click save, you don't have anything. You're just getting a picture of something that's valuable. And so the NFT isn't just the artwork itself. It's the ability to sell that artwork and trade that artwork on the blockchain. So right click save is good. You want people to see and experience the art, just like you want someone to go take a picture of your art and get it published in a magazine where it's sitting in the exhibit, right? So when someone right-click saves your art and then posts it on Twitter, they're doing free marketing for you, because that art is always going to be connected to the way you put it on the blockchain. And so I think that what we're doing here is we're assigning a value to an artist's brand. We're taking this intellectual property with art and we're creating a value around it. So it's not that this value wasn't here before, it was intangible, and we weren't able to tap into it. Now we're taking this intangible value of intellectual property and we're representing it with a digital asset. So when you own an NFT, you own a digital asset for the artwork. And so the artwork is cool. It represents what you own there on the blockchain. But keep in mind, the NFT itself is the value. Without the ability to buy, sell, and trade that item, it's nothing more than just a piece of art, right? Mm-hmm. So the value of the NFT is beyond the value of just the art. It's the connection to the brand and the artist behind the art.
I'm wondering what your thoughts are on like where you see this going. Like it's a topic of conversation I've seen on Twitter recently, especially with like CryptoPunks. But I think this is going to be an issue, a topic going forward. Intellectual property, right? Like I've had collectors of mine talk to me about like what it might look like to buy an NFT of an artist and then now own or share in like the reproduction rights, the licensing rights, things like that. Do you see yourself addressing those things, or do you see that something that other musicians who might want to capitalize or address those topics, like saying, okay, you can buy this NFT, maybe it's worth even more, but now you get a piece of like licensing, etc. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
To me, that's a separate product. So that's a security that shares in ownership of some part of the work. And to me, an NFT is a digital collectible that functions like a digital asset and real estate for an artist. So if you want to create an NFT that owns part of the artwork or gives certain copyright aspects, that's cool. When I think about NFTs, I'm right now creating digital collectibles. They don't give you ownership of the music. It's more like buying a vinyl album, okay? When you go purchase an album from the music store that's a vinyl, you're owning a master. So you do technically have a master of the album. Maybe you buy a limited production vinyl that's 1 of 1,000 vinyl from your favorite artist. Well, now you own a 1 of 1,000 physical piece. So we've taken that and made it digital. And so now you can own these digital collectibles. They don't give you ownership of my copyright. I'm still the one out here who's grinding every day to monetize my work and monetize my copyright. And as an NFT holder, you buy my NFT because you see that I'm very good at monetizing my copyright. And therefore, I'm able to create a lot of value around my music and bring that value back to my NFT holders. Now, there's nothing wrong with making an NFT that allows other people to go monetize my copyright. But as an artist, this is my masterpiece. My goal is to monetize this album and this copyright with the support of my collectors, right? And so everyone can have their own option. But if I want to do a royalty sharing security or NFT, I'll do that as a separate item. The people who get early access to that item or that asset are going to be the ones who hold my NFT. But if they want to actually get a piece of the royalties through some kind of crowd fund, it has a much different structure. So I don't want to confuse those things. To me, that's a separate product, and that's a royalty sharing crowdfund digital asset. It's not the same as what I consider to be the typical NFT. And so as an artist, we need to remember that we don't need to give up our copyrights to create digital assets for our work. We can keep our copyright. And if you want to give up your copyright, go ahead. If you think that's going to give additional value to your collectors, go ahead. But my collectors they can feel free to use my music for something. We can always work that out. And if you own an NFT, of course, I'll give you even more access to use it. But that doesn't mean just because you bought my NFT, you should be able to go take my song and sell it to a record label. And if you bought my NFT and you want to get me placed on a commercial, that's amazing. Hit me up and let's figure it out. I'll give you a cut of the payment. But just because you bought my NFT, it doesn't mean you can go take my song to McDonald's and put my song on there and take all the money. Like that's not what we want to create necessarily either, unless that's your goal as an artist. But for me, this is my masterpiece. I put a lot of time and energy into it. My NFT supporters, they're my team, they're my community. I create value for them. But I want to be in charge of my own finances and my own creative. And I want to be the one responsible for bringing that value back to my community. So I think it's just about however you want to look at it as an artist. But my message to the world is that you don't have to give up your copyright. Don't feel like just because a bunch of traditional investors, they only understand Web 2.0, they only understand the old world, and they don't understand why your NFT would be valuable without a royalty share. It's just they don't get it. They haven't learned as much as someone who's deep within digital assets and NFTs. So that's my honest opinion, but there's nothing wrong with royalty sharing, and I think it's great. So don't take the wrong impression. My message is just you don't need to include a royalty share. You don't need to include copyright ownership.
Love that. Totally feel very similar. So for musicians listening that maybe they wrap their head around this already and they're like, all right, I don't know where to freaking start. Do you have like real-time, pragmatic advice of like where the F do you start with this, and like how do you, like musicians listening, how do you offer scarcity, how do you offer utility, how do you offer the community aspect, what do you offer at all? Like a lot of people, I know a lot of musicians that probably should be doing this, and I've kind of nudged them a little bit in text messages, but until you're ready, you're not ready. So but people that are ready, where the fuck do you start? You know?
All right, so that's amazing that you just said that, because the things you just mentioned are literally out of my 5 key features. That's 2 or 3 of them right there that you just mentioned. And so I actually have an entire breakdown and a blueprint for artists, collectors, anyone trying to understand the space. That's in my pinned tweet on Twitter. But here's the thing. Not everyone is ready to read some big, long tweet about NFTs. That's just boring to some people. So what I always say is this, and I think you touched on this, is a lot of people are just not inspired yet. And they need to get inspired to get that optimism and that internal motivation. This is great. It goes back to the stuff we were talking about before, right? Mm-hmm. To research something, you need to be inspired. You need that internal motivation. So what I say is, send people crypto rich right here. This is it, man. This album right here is the ultimate inspiration and the ultimate story about crypto that can speak to a music artist, someone who learns audio. Like their audio is their primary form of learning. They listen to a song, they feel connected, they feel inspired. So I tell people, look, just send someone crypto rich, send them the album. They'll feel inspired. Maybe they'll learn more. Then go to my pinned thread on Twitter or join my Discord or look up Dill NFT on YouTube, where you'll find one of my videos just like this, right? And so people might find this interview and learn from this. But ultimately, first you need to get inspired. And so I think Crypto Rich is the album that will inspire millions of people, even if it's just a little bit of inspiration, right? Even if it's just the one little seed that makes them somewhat interested. I want to inspire millions with the Crypto Rich album. And then I help them onboard to the space with my resources on Twitter, with my videos. And that's why I do interviews like this and talk with people like you, just so that we can help answer some of the questions that people are trying to figure out about the space.
So one of the last topics I want to jump into for musicians listening, like up until recently, you kind of like don't really make money on albums anymore. Unfortunately, it's like Spotify. You get a few pennies thrown at you. Now artists, musicians have a way to kind of monetize things that weren't really monetizable before, except for touring. Right? It was always like touring, 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 touring. I have some like incredibly, amazingly talented musician friends that kind of gave up on it because they got a little older. They had a kid. It's just like there's just so much touring you can do. What kind of work lifestyle does this take? Right? So like you got some of your time is going to touring, some of your time is going towards making music, a shit ton of your time is going towards marketing, connecting, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. Can you give people an idea of what it kind of takes and what it looks like? Because like obviously, as a rapper, you want to put it out a certain kind of a lifestyle, but in reality, you're probably spending a lot of time like myself behind a computer doing the hard grinding work, So what does that look like? What does it take?
Yeah. Well, that's funny that you put it that way, right? Because if any rapper is showing that I'm behind the computer doing the work, it's me, because I'm literally a crypto rapper, right? So of course my shit is like, yeah, I'm sitting behind the computer trading cryptos. But look, that's the reality of right now. No matter who you are, you have to sit behind the computer. You have to answer Instagram DMs. You have to get your email. We're all on this screen life, right? And so I think that what we're seeing with NFTs is a completely new way to monetize our music. So let's think about how we monetize music. One is digital sales, Spotify, streaming, Apple Music. It takes a long time to build up those audiences, but there's potential for profit there. Then there's touring, shows, live shows that you go to, right? You sell tickets. That's one. Merchandise, right? Very connected to touring, selling merch, online sales, digital merch, right? You might even sell VIP packages, or you might do some other way of selling to make money, right? But these are all different ways that you monetize your work. And now we have NFTs, which is a digital asset that we can sell. It's kind of like merch. It's not that dissimilar to merch. You're selling this asset that people own a piece of it, but the potential to monetize it is far above any of the other categories in merch. So the way that I see it is like, you might have your digital music sales getting you here. You might have touring merch that gets you up here. And now you have NFTs, which can take us to a completely new, higher level of monetization that was never possible before. So with NFTs, we can sell these digital assets that contribute to our top line and give us more revenue from the music. And that can be all based on your album. So if you're an artist, take the music you have out there and make NFTs for it, and then focus on selling them. It's not easy. You're going to have to be on Twitter Spaces. You got to be on Clubhouse. You got to figure out how to build a community and an audience. But I've made way more this year from my independent NFT sales than anything else. Think about this. I only own a very small percentage of my song, Jordan Belfort. All in, I did 22 million streams this year. I just got my Spotify Wrapped. Now, 22 million streams is great, but I only get a very small portion of that revenue. Even if I got all of the revenue, think about this. My NFT sales this year are worth 30 to 40 million streams. That's almost double how much streams I got this year, right? If you took my NFT sales, the amount of streams it would take to make that same amount from Spotify is almost 40 million. So it's absurd to think about this. I've made more money through my NFTs than the major label made through my song. So, and this is just the first year, right? Imagine next year, imagine the year after that. Imagine after Crypto Rich, after people realize what I've created with the first crypto album. I mean, to me, this album can transcend languages and cultures, because everyone likes a little bit of English, hip hop, American rap. Like that's already something that people in other countries and other languages understand a little bit. So I think that Crypto Rich, the concept in this crypto album, because crypto is cross-cultural, cross-language, cross-borders, I think the concept of a crypto album has the same potential. And that's just genuinely where I see the future of this. The album's going to be massive, and this is just year one.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Last question I could think of, at least. Metaverse. Obviously, that's on a lot of people's tongues right now. Some people know what they're talking about. Most people have no idea what they're talking about. As a musician, as well as someone that's super heavy into crypto, I'd love your kind of input on that. Also, like how being a musician, kind of plays into that. Like, are you or have you been doing shows in like the Decentraland or the Metaverse? Like, where do you see that going? Yeah. Talk to me about that, and then
of course,
that'd be a great one.
So So the most common question about metaverse is people go right to like, how can this replace a real world show? No. We're not replacing anything. Okay. We're just creating a new virtual video game type of environment to go hang out with fans. So now I can have a concert for some fans on the internet while I'm sitting here in my underwear on the couch showing off some dope music. Right. So for me as an artist, I can now connect with fans all on my computer in a cool video game world and do some type of performance. Sometimes I show my YouTube videos. Sometimes I'll start rapping. I'll be like, I was only 15 sitting in my house bored. I went online to the Silk Road store. I got some Bitcoin, got it as a sophomore. If I didn't need lunch money, I probably would have bought more. So I'm always just doing like fun stuff, making it interesting for my fans. The metaverse shows are very cool. I've performed in Decentraland, Crypto Voxels. I also partner with different communities and metaverse venues. So what I do is I have different partners who hold my NFTs. I hold their NFTs. They build metaverse venues. They have shows for me, and we collaborate on everything. So I think that overall, the future I see for metaverse is artists are going to be able to interact with fans in a new way. And what is the result? What does this mean? It means that when you go to a city, right, some of the people might be seeing, oh shit, Dill's in town and I was at his metaverse show on Decentraland. So I'm going to go over to his real world show because I was there in Decentraland. Or let's say I'm playing at South by Southwest in Texas and somebody says, oh, I have the option to go to this artist or I have the option to go to Dill. And I went to his metaverse concert before, so I got to go see his real world event. So what we're doing is we're establishing closer ties with fans. We're getting more engagement with our audience. And ultimately, long term, that's going to create bigger fans. And so metaverse concerts are huge, right? It's awesome.
That's so cool, man. I love it. Are there any topics that we missed? Anything else you want to promote? Anything coming up at all? Any last words?
No, man, it's all great. I really appreciate you having me on here, asking some great questions. We need to put this information out there for artists. I'll help you make sure that we get all the keywords in the video title or whatever as well, because I want to make sure it all connects with my other content on YouTube too, because I'm trying to help artists learn about music NFTs and NFTs in the music industry in general. So I appreciate you having me on here, asking some of those great questions. Check out everything I've got with Crypto Rich. Just go to itslit.org/NFTs or look up Famous Dill or look up Dill. You can listen to the music for free. The music is always free to listen. You can go on YouTube. You can go on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music. If you listen some way that pays me more, like Tidal, that's great. But what I want to say is that listening to the music for free is like that right-click save argument for JPEGs, right? You hear the music for free. That's experiencing the art. When you own the NFT, you own a piece of the success. So that listening to the music for free, that's right-click save for music NFTs. So I encourage everyone to check out the music, listen for free. That supports me. I love it. Go check out my pinned thread on Twitter. But if you want to own a piece of what we're doing and you want to come to the next Crypto Rich party in Miami where we have a yacht party like we just did at Art Basel, you want to come on the yacht and be in the next music video, that's why you hold the NFT. And if all goes well, you'll be able to sell that for even more as the album continues to become the top crypto album in the world. So check out what we're doing and really think about what you get by owning a digital asset for an album, because you get a share in that success forever.
Dude, you got the hustle down pat, bro. I love it, man. Freaking love it. From one Jersey guy to one Philly guy, dude. Thank you so much. I'll see you on Twitter.
Hell
soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, 100%. You got to come to the next show. I did a show in Atlantic City where I opened for Wu-Tang Clan and Waka Flocka. That was free for all my VIP collectors. That was in Atlantic City at this new venue called Bori. So I invite, there's a recap on YouTube you can watch of that performance. So performing crypto music, my VIP collectors get the lifetime ticket to every show. Even if I'm opening for Wu-Tang Clan and Waka Flocka, I'm going to be putting on for crypto music and getting my VIP collectors in the door.
So sick, man. I love it. I'd love to check out your show. Maybe someday I'll do some live painting during your show. That's one of the things that I do. So look forward to staying more connected, and I'm super appreciative of your time, Dill.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. This was great, and I look forward to sharing it with everyone.
Awesome, brother.
Thanks, guys. We hope you loved that episode. If you did love it and could give us some love on iTunes, that would be amazing. You can leave a review, and we will give you a shout out at some point on this podcast.
Also, if you guys can follow us on social media, we would love to hear from you. We are on pretty much every social media platform at Shifting Perceptions Podcast, which is the same as our website, shiftingperceptionspodcast.com. We look and reply to all comments, so please share with your friends, tag us. We appreciate all the love.
And don't forget that all of our guests also see all these comments, so I'm sure if you want to just have a space you can reach out, these are the places to do it.
And lastly, thanks to our good friend John Harvey, who put together, produced, edited our show's music. Love you, bro.